We've been very wrapped up with a lot of stuff here with what's happening in our life right now, and now that we have to consider moving again.
All right, I have no
Yeah,
audio
you have no audio.
on your end.
No audio? Hello?
I don't know if it's. I can't hear you at
Let's try
all.
this again, shall we?
Nothing.
Nothing. Something? I'm gonna make grouchy faces. Mm.
Hmm.
Oh,
All right, Daniel
apparently
says he
I'm
hears
heard
you.
by.
Anybody else can hear?
Yeah.
Hear Chris? What's up,
Hello,
Vince?
hello, hello. Test, test, test. I am slowly going crazy.
Sure.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, can anyone else hear me? Is it something with him?
Maybe.
Did you turn up the microphone on my connection, my image? Hmm. 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 Da da da. Okay. So is your audio working on your end, darling? Test, 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 test. So everyone can hear me but him at the moment. So let's see. Um, okay, yes, so I can hear it when I play it on my own device. So uh, is your speaker up? Um, if because you have to have your speaker on as well, because you have to have some volume as well, because of course it has to come out. I do see you have earbuds on. Um, the volume on your earbuds. I'm assuming everyone else can still hear me. Okay. Oh, Pablo's there. Good. 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 Because I can hear me on the kind of on the echo of the broadcast itself. Oh my. Pablo. See, Pablo is like God to everyone. Pablo is like okay. Okay. A demigod. We'll do that. Okay. Uh, well, this is it. His mic was picking him up, but it looks like his mic and his earbuds are two separate things. Okay, well, Vince can hear me. Mm. Hello, 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 hello. Hello, hello, hello. I am
I
slowly.
still can't hear her.
Oh, I can hear him. Later, Uke. Right, and use
Okay,
the
we're gonna
default mic.
unplug here.
Okay. I'm thinking it's the earbud thing because it looks like he's got earbuds and a mic, and I'm hooked up with bud and mic so that I don't get that nasty loop thing. I am slowly going crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Crazy slowing going at my 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is always the test thing we used to do in the 80s. I don't know if anyone still does that. Okay.
Okay, you can hear me. All right, I
Okay.
still can't hear Christina at all.
Well, you're unplugged.
So I'm sorry, guys. I have no idea what in the
Well,
world.
suddenly the stress has been lifted. um, unplug your earbuds because it's obviously not his. Not his mic.
Huh.
Uh,
Sorry, Casina. But tell her I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I can hear him.
Invite
I
people
can
in
hear
and
him.
everything goes bonkers.
Oh. That's
Plug
weird.
into my
Yeah, he
laptop.
is loud.
Maybe that
He
might
is
work.
really loud. Yeah, Pablo, we could hear him before. He's not hearing me. This is going to
Anything?
become a test. I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Nothing on my end. I don't know what's going on. I'm so sorry.
I know. Well, I can try to do like
I
Canadian
made my
Sign
mic
Language
campsite.
or.
You guys can hear us both. Okay. I just can't hear her. That's the thing. I'm the only one that can't hear her.
It's one of.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Pablo,
Oh
help. Get this out of here. I totally unplugged the mic.
no! Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Yay!
I know. I'm just sitting there watching you like, oh my God. So I even unplugged it. That's why I left for a second because I even unplugged the USB camera thinking that was taking the audio off, but that's not it either. Can't read sign language. Oh my God. Oh. Okay.
Oh my.
Well, changing the
Oh
thing
my.
doesn't do anything.
Hmm. Now look. We've gone from this very
It
serious
looks
subject.
like such a fool right now.
We've gone from this very serious subject to this. It's
Nothing at
hilarious.
all. I'm gonna unplug my IAMs here.
It would
I wish I had more settings.
be. Um.
No, that just
Speaker.
what? I don't know, guys. I really.
I'm just
And my
gonna keep
speakers are at
scrolling.
92%.
What? Serious?
The level has not. I'm not on mute.
Um. Oh boy. All right. So.
No, I'm not deaf, people. I am not deaf.
Ah, ah,
What in
ah.
the? Nothing. Nothing at all. Um. I can't even go into settings on my preview screen. That's the same thing that just popped up. How close was I to the bombing? I know, I know. I am so sorry.
I'm.
Jeez. I guess we need a closed captioning feature.
Oh my god.
Not really. Body language. Lips, no.
Good night,
Let's just
everyone.
stick your tongue out. May I might describe how you feel it. I'm out of options. There's no options for me whatsoever.
Pablo. Oh,
It's yelling at me. It tells me something that I need a beauty filter.
you need a what?
I'm clicking on next to Mike and Cam, so I click on more, so it only shows me settings for my camera. Pablo, dude, why can't I hear her? What's up? Hi, Peter.
Hi,
Peter, I
Peter.
cannot hear
Peter.
Christina at all.
Peter.
I can't hear Chris,
Peter. Hi, Peter.
but everybody else can, apparently.
Love you.
And
Love you,
I have
Peter.
no options to.
I will love you. He is.
I'm the only
Everyone's
one
hearing
that
my
can't
audio.
hear my guest.
Yep.
Everybody else can hear her.
Apparently,
But no matter what I do or how I do it, nothing
he's not
seems to be
lying.
working. I am
We're gonna cry any moment now.
with a microphone and speakers on the laptop itself, but nothing, even with my microphone
Yep.
and my in-ears, it's nothing's.
I'm gonna keep making noise so that you can see that everyone said they could hear me, but yeah. Yeah, apparently he can't. But yeah, I can hear him. I can hear him very clearly. Um, okay. Okay. Oh, my volume is low?
Try exiting and come back in.
Okay, I will try exiting and come
Volume
back
is
in.
low. Okay.
So you're gonna have to, or shouldn't he just turn up the volume? Okay, I'll exit and come back in. I will do as I am told as an obedient little happer. Okay, hapster. Okay,
That's all I had to do. Okay. Huh. Looks like Peter's coming in.
I went out and came back in.
Okay, so we both did that. I can hear you now.
You can?
Yeah, but my volume has to be quite high.
Really?
Yeah, that's okay.
Am I
So if I
quiet to
can hear
everyone
you,
else? Well,
I don't know.
there's a little there's a volume thing for each individual guest. If you click on it, you can see the little I think it's a gear or something like that. And then
Oh,
when
that
you
gear
pop that
thing.
down,
Okay.
yeah, you can adjust my volume. That way you don't have to have your speakers on loud
Oh,
because
got it.
now,
Okay.
yeah, because now it's gonna circle back, right? And then without the earbuds,
Cool.
it's gonna isolate back and create
Okay.
an echo. And then we'll sound like we're in caves. Which right now, I think most of us would like to crawl into a cave.
Yeah. Wow, that was a stressful entry. I am so sorry. Holy crap. And now I feel like I'm like a mile away from my camera now just because it's a different camera and unplugging everything. So,
Oh, honey.
okay.
So okay, so basically,
Thanks, Peter.
Peter
So,
Pablo
how
just
are
let
you
us know
doing
what
tonight?
grade you are. I'm alive. Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the
All
broadcast
right.
I did yesterday, and we were going to do a broadcast today, and yeah, we're talking very lowly because well, we need to
You
make
give me the
sure.
idea though, Peter, so that's good.
What device are you on, Christina? I am on an iPad G4, the classic remake, the most recent one. It's a remake of
Right.
the classic iPad, and
Oh, no
seventh
kidding.
gen. Okay, seventh gen, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, and my little headset mic thingy, because if I don't, it does that echo back thing. Um, but that
It's
it
cool that the
actually,
iPad works, though.
well, what we did long ago when
Yeah.
when the whole app thing started, and they said they didn't have an app for the For the iPad, I said, listen, all the time I download iPhone apps for iPads all the time. And I just zoom them up. It makes it a tiny bit grainy, but it's still good. It still does the job. And this one, my iPad finally died. My iPad Pro finally died. And
Oh wow.
Apple in Canada has a trade-in program, and it's a recycling program, so it's partially sponsored by the government. So
Oh wow.
if you bring in a device that's within a certain age, then they trade it and they give you money off of the newer device. And they tried to talk me
Okay.
into an iPad Pro. And I said, even with the discount from the recycle program, I can't afford an iPad Pro. So I
Yeah,
found
those
this.
things are what, $1,000 or something, or at least here in the U.S. There's like,
Well, up here, the smaller iPad Pro is about 23 for the lowest memory. And then it's the bigger iPad Pro. If we ever had, I'm hoping our large iPad Pro never gets old because
whoa.
it's been old as well. But yeah, they're really pricey. They're
Yeah.
the same price as a laptop, but they're easier to carry around. So I asked them about this one, and they're like, "Oh, you don't want it. The resolution is only 1080. It's not 4G and then 4K or whatever." And I'm like, "I don't care. I've been
We don't
dealing
need
with,
4K on. Yeah.
I've had this older iPad Pro for so long that this newer remake of the classic iPad is just fine for this stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, so that's what I'm using for this. For
All right, Peter,
broadcasting,
take care. Thank you, bud. Always
yeah, Peter, take care,
appreciate
buddy.
you guys. I appreciate the whole team. You guys are awesome.
Yes, you
That'll
guys are
always be my
awesome.
inside joke. And take my crappy laptop and make it freaking awesome. Thanks to
Well,
the half team.
when you do,
That's my story. I was foolish enough to buy the laptop that I'm using right now, thinking I can run doggone it OBS on it. Because I bought it used and it was refurbished for $400. I'm thinking, well, a
okay.
Core i5 and it's the 8th gen Core i5. I'm thinking that'll be plenty. Well, because I
Well,
don't have a dedicated graphics card, so
mhm.
whether it's Streamlabs or OBS, and my laptop says beep.
um, Peter,
So,
just for a note before you go, Peter, just for a note before you go, when we broadcast, we've been using a combination between our Mac desktop, which is also like 8 years old, 9 years old, and the iPad Pro, which is a few years old, and seems to work better on the iPad Pro than it does on this classic one, but it works okay. It just
oh
sometimes it's a little
wow.
coaxing. It hates my phone. iPhone. I know every single device in this household is Apple. Every single
I've
device.
always wanted an iPad, but I mean, I couldn't commit myself whether it's a laptop or the desktop version of a Mac. I just couldn't. I mean, I'm no editor or anything, and no YouTube star or nothing. So those few perks, because I know there's some kind of like editing features that you can only get like on a Mac or something that are like flipping just out of this world. But I wouldn't spend the money for that, not unless I had like a million subscribers on YouTube or something like that,
Well,
or
but
at least like 100K or something. No, 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 no.
this is it.
And
My
they're too
mom
expensive for
said,
me, anyways. I only make like 19K a year. So,
well, we make less than that sometimes. Well, at one time we made more, but all the changes that have happened over the past few years, we're making a lot less. But that's neither here nor there. We started with a classic SE, so we're talking late 1980s. No, earlier than that. My very
whoa.
first Apple was a Classic SE. That was just after the Commodore 64. And that
Oh
was just
wow.
after my pet computer. Um,
Wait,
but
wait, your pet computer?
yes, honey. How old do you think I
What is?
am?
I still remember my first, my well, not my first. It wasn't mine, but my. I'll never forget the day my mom, my dad brought home their ever first computer, and I think it was 93. We bought it 93, 94
Oh,
ish.
you're so young.
I was born in 82.
You're so young. Martin and I, honey, Martin
That
and
was the
I met.
HP, by the way. There was the HP like 2000 or something they called it.
Martin and I met in 1987, and we
Wow.
were already adults. Well, it was the end of high school for me. It was he was already in college. But no, my first experience with computers was a PEC computer, and they were big,
Okay.
huge, clunky things. And they had a computer lab at school because no one could afford to own these things. So you had to sign into the computer lab, and you were really only allowed to be in there no more than twice a week.
Oh,
And
no
you had
kidding.
to, yeah, you had to learn a series of commands for the computer because it had two
Okay.
floppy drives. And one floppy drive was your system. The other floppy drive was your app, your program. So you put in your system disk, you tell the
Okay.
computer where to find your system, you load the system on, then you put in your application disk with your program on it, one program
Okay.
disk. You put in your program disk, you tell the computer where to find the program. Once it finds the program, that's when you eject the system disk and then put in the disk that you're going to save your files on. Then you
Wow.
create your files,
Okay.
okay, and then you tell it to save it back to that disk because you now have to eject that disk in order to put your system back disk back in order to shut down your machine. And we had to memorize all the pip commands, all the DOS commands, everything, or the machine did not work.
Or I bet, it sounds like if you just miss one, like accidentally miss one step, and you would have to do it like all over again. That's
And then we went from the PEC computer
ouch.
to the Commodore 64, where the quote for the Commodore 64 was no
Okay.
one will ever need more than 64 gigs of memory. Sorry, 64K of memory. 64K of memory. K. And there was a cute little tune, I
Kilobits.
adore my 64, my Commodore 64. And it was the first home
I'll have to
computer.
look that up.
And then we went from the Commodore 64 to the Classic SE, which was the first official released Mac on the two home computers, and they were these boxy tall things that had two drives down below. Again, your system and instead of big, huge, massive floppy disks, these were now much smaller floppy disks. That was considered
Okay.
small, and yeah, you still had to do the system and the commands and everything. And then Martin and I moved in together, and so that would have been 1988, and we were still running the SE. And then in '89, we bought an LC2, which was a step up in the Mac world. But like I mean, even our LC2, it took overnight to print a picture. Like if we did like a card or something, we designed anything and we had to print it out on our $850 color printer, and we were the only one on the block that had one. It took us 4 years to save for a printer. Um, and yeah, you leave it overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, you left it overnight. You left your computer on, your printer on. You went to bed and you crossed your fingers that when you woke up in the morning, everything was printed.
Wow.
You just, that's what we did. That's what we had to do. I'm starting to sound like that Monty Python sketch about you think that's bad. I lived in a
That's
box. But yeah, and then the LC2
well.
to
Sometimes
the,
it's good to learn, dare I say, the hard way. I guess because
well, I still know how
you
to
know
program a Mac.
this stuff had to come from somewhere.
Well, I still know, and part of the reason why I remain a Mac user, not only because there's a lot of really good design programs, and being in the entertainment industry, we use them all, um, but we also own Macs because I still know how to program them. Um,
Wow.
Macs haven't had, for example, Macs haven't had CD and DVD drives in years. They eliminated that from the equation, and so I got there's you can get the portable ones, but they only talk to the older Macs, right? The older,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so nope. I got in there. I got the coding. I told the Mac to talk to this drive. It hiccuped. I was one letter off. and it hiccuped a little bit and complained at me, and I was like, oh, right. So I went back in and you can still code a Mac. You can still open a coding window and code a Mac to make it do things it doesn't want
Wow.
to do. And that's part of the reason why I love them. So, yeah, I'm a little Mac obsessed. I'm broke because of it, but
It worked out for you, though, it sounds.
it
In the long
does.
run. Yeah,
Some of the equipment
that's all
like in
right.
the shops we worked in, like in Stargate and stuff like that, a lot of the equipment was originally designed for industrial use, like the CNC machines and stuff like that. And we had to use PCs to run them, but we designed on a Mac, and then we converted it and sent it down to the PC, and then the PC told the machine what to do.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the only time we really use PCs,
Wow.
is to tell another machine off.
That's great.
But but yeah, no, it's a crazy world right now, and from the
It
sounds of it,
is.
technology is the least of our worries.
Right. Yeah, I was mentioning that earlier in the broadcast where just the littlest thing, and even I was kind of using a couple puns, but even us that are just maybe I should reword it, but cool headed, like you and I, for example.
Okay.
Like as minutes and hours and days and weeks and everything take by, it's almost getting to the point where it's easier and easier and easier. Just the littlest, tiniest thing. We wouldn't think that we would lose our cool, so to speak. But we all get on our moments where just, and I think that happened to some guy. I think it was Sunday, and he he came in the wrong door because we go in one way and out the other at my work. It was the lobby, just like one lobby. It's a T lobby, I guess, two doors on either end, and then you funnel in the middle. And he came in the wrong door, and before we usually would say something, hey, you coming in the wrong door, whatever. And after time, I would just, just kind of start slowly just leaving alone. You know what? Bigger worries, right? When he puts on his mask as he's entering, and he because he's smoking or whatever. So he finishes this last puff, puts the mask on as he's stepping foot in the lobby, and I go to walk out that door, and I just kind of look at him. I don't say nothing, and he just goes, "Whoa, carry on, dude. Just carry on. Like I don't care
Okay.
what you're going through, but hey." I don't expect me to say something, so you're probably about to get violent on me. So I said, I was just gonna carry on and let you carry on and see how it goes. And that's how it ended up being. We just carried on and nothing came to fruition, thank goodness. But
It's like he had this
just
little bubble inside him that just had to explode, and he didn't know where to explode it to. And then once it was popped, it was done.
yeah, just wrong person. Like don't piss me off, kid. You know.
This was one of the hard things about this massive stage of my life with the whole perimenopause thing and my body rebelling against me and doing hormonal things for too long, and it has put a huge stress on my body, my mind, and my especially my heart. Like, I mean, I've been in the hospital a few times because my blood pressure is not coming down without a lot of effort, and I had to have surgery to get my body to finally say no, we're not doing this anymore, and we got to stop doing this hormone thing before we actually, kill you. And that was a horrific time. And there were a lot of times where I didn't know what I was doing. I was just bursting out, and I was just, um, I was getting impatient with the cast. I was getting impatient with volunteers, and they know me before those hormones kicked in, and before that stage decided to hold on to my body, and they didn't know what to do with me because it was just one moment I'm fine and the next I'm not. And it was like, oh, she's bipolar. No, she's just going through really bad perimenopause for a very long period of time. And even now, I sometimes get it, but not as much since the surgery because now they've made my body go, hold on, we're done. This is, you've got to stop this. You're going to kill her. And But there were times where people just thought I was like the biggest tyrant on the planet, and they couldn't understand why other people are there. No, she's patient, she's humorous, she's lighthearted, she's sensible, she's. But in those moments, those people only knew that moment. And I'm yelling and I'm screaming and I'm feeding every single stereotype of a frantic woman for no real reason, except for the fact that in that moment I could not access my brain. I could not access my nervous system. I couldn't access anything, and now I'm struggling to find different techniques, to calm down again. Yeah,
Wow.
everyone's got it at some point. Some people it lasts like a couple months. Some people it'll last for years on end. I wanted to be able to say, listening to you talking about this bomb. No, we've been kind of wrapped up in our own struggles today. So, when I'm listening to you, my brain was like, "What?" And I went on my phone right away, and I'm like, "Oh God, this is what he's talking about." And I'm just like, somewhere along the line, one person, one person who has, from the sounds of it, a dedication, a focus, a discipline, went bang. And he doesn't sound like he chose to go bang in a way that's really recoverable. And it's too bad because it's that person could have been this.
Yeah.
I mean, you said he was 20 or something like that?
It says he's 20. It said that he's only in for a year. I'd imagine a year. He said he joined in 2019, so
That's so
a
young.
year. And I mean, the kid already made it private first class, which is within your first year. Mostly it's hard to do, but it takes effort. You
Yeah.
definitely, most of us aren't going to get like a sergeant in your first year. I know a couple people that have, but that's kind of hard to do. But I mean, that's the highest level of being a private, you know, because then other privates can look up towards you and then use it as training against the rest of us. Like, dude, like,
But this, yeah, like I mean,
you
that's
know,
impressive.
the
I
goal
mean,
is to not be detected, and then all of a sudden, what is he going to be in the barracks one day, and all hell's going to break loose?
well, this is it. Suddenly, 6 to 8 years of really bad perimenopause and being a stereotypical woman at the worst possible times doesn't sound so bad to me right now.
No, Don, that was a joke. We don't joke about bombs or anything, but we were having audio issues, so we were just messing around. But um, the word bomb has to do with it because the guy that was showing it was a uh, private first class, and he wanted to blow up the 9/11 memorial. And they only found out because the FBI vetted everybody.
Okay, this
So that's what
yeah,
the story is, Don. Yeah, that's hi to everybody
January
else. I was just waving just because some of you, um,
um
I can't reply in the replies. I don't know why it doesn't let me do that.
Dawn, January 19th, 2021, Oklahoma City. The attack on the U.S. Capitol by an angry mob of President Donald Trump supporters shocked many Americans who thought such a violent assault with their fellow countrymen was impossible. Oklahoma City bombing, survival, that goes through, survival. But according to all these news reports, there's a pipe bomb
A
in
pipe bomb. He's a
Washington.
lone wolf. They have not found him yet. So maybe that's what Don might be. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Could also be, you could also be, sorry if I'm assuming, but
Yeah.
I did mention that in context a little bit. So could have a little bit to do with, the title and just,
Yeah.
sometimes it's difficult for me to keep my title really
That's
short and
okay.
sweet. 'Cause,
That's okay. It's actually shorter than most of mine, so you're fine.
yeah, I just,
But yeah, inauguration,
50
security around
characters,
U.S.
we
Capitol
know we only have
attendance.
50 words, but, but
Yeah.
50 characters is a little.
Capitol attack stirs memories of Oklahoma bombing. So yeah, it sounds like yeah, we've got an issue today that Martin and I missed because we were running around trying to deal with our own issues.
Yeah.
FBI warns pipe bomb suspect still at large after Capitol riot.
Yep. That's that story.
Yeah. So all I did was type in Capitol and bomb and past 24 hours, and it's yeah, there's
Pop
quite a
up.
number of.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Google or Siri or anyone else.
When in doubt, Google it. You are so welcome,
Yeah,
Dante.
gone right.
You know,
Right.
no, it's hard having a lot of American friends. There are Canadians up here who are so anti-American everything that they just get so pissy and angry, and we don't want them coming up if they don't like Donald Trump. They can stay home and deal with it. And there's Canadians up here who are, we don't care. We're the same continent. As far as we're
Mm.
concerned, we're the 51st state, or you guys are another territory. It doesn't really matter to us and to some of us. So, to those of us who have a very high percentage of American friends, uh, we really get scared when we hear things like this. We always worry about our friends down in the States, and there's
Right.
just this overwhelming sensation of helplessness.
Yeah.
That we can't do
Well, John's
anything.
bringing up a good point because I wanted to bring in. I think Vince is still here. The reason why I wanted to bring Vince in because he was talking about some stuff in somebody else's broadcast, and this has been going on for last couple days. And as a friend, that's partially my fault too. It's nobody else's. It's really, that's my because of how I run my data or whatever when I'm not like in this room or on Wi-Fi. But I'm only getting like some things out of the whole story and trying to figure out like what's going on his end because he's concerned about like a lot of trolls and rightfully so.
Hmm.
And want to understand on my part. And I know you because when Awesome when she's coming on, so a lot of them were I'd go on Yuke's broadcast because he would be a guest on her broadcast, and we're like kind of get the gist of things. Wait, it's like okay, well, yeah.
Well,
Sometimes you can't really support somebody only if you actually know like the whole story, not just like theoretically it's like 75% of something that's going on or a general idea of what we think is what's going on.
well, people live for quick fixes.
I'm into the point where I'm getting kind of concerned about it too, because it's like it's getting to be like an everyday thing. So,
Yeah.
and
Well, it's
guys, no disrespect out of it, but it's just more so because I just don't know the full story. There's
right,
parts and pieces that are very important that I happen to be missing,
right, right.
which makes me only think I know what's going on. But all I know is it's a lot of trolls, and none of us want trolls. None of us.
Well, I, I,
Right.
I
It
don't
just
want trolls, but at the same time, I have a lot of fun with them. And it has a lot to do with the way I grew up.
you know,
My
yeah,
father was I was blessed in the sense that my father was a political reporter. I was not blessed in the sense that when there was a federal election, he was gone to Ottawa for months on end. But I was blessed in the fact that he was a political reporter. So I grew up with a very sarcastic upbringing. The old world troll before the internet was the guy who was at the back of the crowd, shouting out crap and then ducking, below the crowd to get away before anyone caught who was yelling out. The whole concept of trolling has been around as long as human beings. It's
yeah,
a different form now. Um,
yeah.
but I roll with it. For me, it's a matter of a troll comes on. I make light of them, and sometimes it'll go a little too far, and then it'll be like, oh, fine, I'm gonna block you now. You've gotten boring to me. Deep down inside, there will always be a piece of me going, why does this person have to do this? This is upsetting. But what comes out of my mouth, and if I listen to my own self-talk, which Martin says I do very well, by the way, and you know, what comes out of my mouth though is very much, well, this is what you sound like, dude. You know, you say I'm ugly. Well, to some people I am. That's really great that to you I am. To some people I'm not. To some people I am. You have every right to be here. And I just, I defrag them. I just basically don't let them get to me on the outside. Afterwards, sometimes Martin and I, when we get really, really harsh ones, we'll sit down and go, okay, that one was too much. We should have blocked him a little earlier. For the longest times, we avoided having moderators because they block people like that. And some of them were my friends who are just kind of sarcastic. We're poking at each other because
Yeah,
we
that
know
can be
each
hard
other.
too. I noticed that the other day that somebody was just being,
Yeah. But the
I'll just use
moderator,
goofy, I guess, and somebody took it a different way. And then even I came in as a guest on that broadcast. I was on one of Yuke's broadcasts, and it's like, yeah, like okay,
but this
well,
is
if you're looking at it, it could be hard, but like if you're like watching here, it could be totally different.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I do like my generation is because we look at things like this and some of us have converted to not stick out so much and I don't see why. Because as much as we got things wrong like any generation does, we got some things right and the one thing we got right is don't give people like that power, which means roll with it. Just roll with it. Don't take offense, don't take it personally, don't let it build up in you. Roll with it. And every once in a while, you're going to get the one that stays around and you do have to block them or get rid of them. In other words, the guy that you pull out of the club, the comedy club that just won't shut up, as opposed to the guy that does one or two stupid remarks and eventually shuts up. There's two different kinds of guys. One you let hang around because he's going to pay for the next show anyway, even though he indicated he hates your guts. He's still going to pay for the next show. And then there's the guy that just, no, he's going to get violent, he's going to incite a riot, get him out of here. And you don't know until you just like, okay, fine. I mean, I've been called so many names. I don't, there are times where I swear if someone comes up with a new thing to call me, I'm just going to be like, wow, congratulations, you need an award. Yay. Um,
Lots of creativity, bro.
I mean, Don got called a fat moose. Like, I mean, come on.
I heard about that.
I mean, I'm going to make him, I swear, when I get some time, Don, I'm making you
I,
answer
was,
for his
I, was,
ears.
I was watching that broadcast, and Don, you came in, and you were just cracking up, laughing so hard that you and Don were in there. I think
Oh, thank you, Don.
you can laugh about that stuff. You got to.
Hey, Martin. Don set us as a moderator of his broadcast. Anyway,
What?
it's okay, Don. I won't abuse it too much. Um, but it's and this is why we've got these riots, we've got these bombings, we got large chunks of people who are just so it's like they have no power in their own lives. And they could take power in their own lives. But instead of taking power and responsibility, because with power comes responsibility, thank you, Stan Lee. Um, so, they don't take their own power into their own lives. And instead, they just go at each other to a point where the only way to be united is to be united angry instead of being united at peace. And then they just, you
Right.
know, they, they just snap because they don't know what it's like to take control over oneself and be responsible. And it's just like,
Right.
I don't know when this is going to stop, but I sure as hell hope the good guys win, in the long run. I really do.
Right. Right.
You know, obese moose. Oh, I'm sorry, not fat moose, obese moose. I'm so sorry, Don. I must get the correct terminology.
Terminology. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh,
Maybe
oh,
I can make you. Yeah, I can't tell you how many times my parents have told me the same when I was growing up.
mine never bothered. My mother really didn't care
This
for
one
me.
time, exactly what I did when I was growing up. I think it was My parents just came home from the grocery store. I was probably like 15 or 16 or something. My dad had this paddle back then, about an inch and a half thick. I kid you not, it was painted deep blue, like a dark blue. And it was probably maybe 20 inches long, maybe
Sounds like a
18.
cricket paddle.
And it was hanging next to the doorway to the kitchen, right? And there was one time I can't remember what the hell I did. Must have did something really tick my dad off. And it was the only time he took the thing off. And like I said, this thing was about an inch and a half thick.
Right.
It hit that on the doorway and broke it in half. Didn't hit me. He hit the doorway on purpose.
Okay.
The doorway, not to specifically hit me with it.
So fear tactics.
But that was the one time that, like, my dad was never violent. He's not a violent guy or whatever. But there was one time that he actually ended up scaring my mom. Still to this day, I can't remember what the hell I did or didn't do. I don't know. I don't even know which way it was. I don't know if it was something I was supposed to do and didn't do, or but uh, that was the one time that my dad he just took it, and my mom thought that that thing couldn't even be broken.
Hang on a sec, guys. You think it's the bag? Can we dump the litter now? I know it's late, but that I don't know what the hell the cats are eating.
Well, we're feeding them.
But that is horrific. Sorry, open concept space. And when the cats really go for it all at the same time, it's. Oh, so I just asked Martin to please get rid of the litter. Please.
Oh,
Yeah, the cat litter is. I'm focusing on you, but I have to focus twice as hard because I swear I'm crying for the cat litter.
oh, sorry.
Our one cat has decided to get stinky over the last few weeks. I'm not sure why.
Oh,
And he's been pooping outside his litter box, so I think he's just overstressed. And now we're talking about another move, so I expect he'll be overstressed for a while longer. But he's
strategic
missing the litter
nighttime
box.
kitty litter is something opportunity. Sorry.
Well, in this household, we do not eat wheat. We do not eat wheat. But
I never reduced my wheat consumption. That's
we
what
do
I did.
use we do use a kitty cat litter that is made of wheat. So we don't eat it here, but the cats do poop on it.
Oh,
The one cat has asthma, so
okay. Oh,
we can't use standard litter. We have to use litter that doesn't kick up dust, and the wheat stuff does it because the wheat
right.
stuff will biodegrade. If it gets in his nose, it just degrades, so it doesn't trigger his asthma. But things like clay litter will. So, and scented litter will too. It'll trigger his asthma, and it's not easy giving a cat a puffer. It's actually kind of a challenge to give a cat a puffer. He's got this big thing that goes over his snout, and then it's a kid-sized puffer that goes in the other end, and he gets a puff
It's,
for his asthma.
cat doesn't take that easy. I'm guessing
Sorry, say again?
the cat doesn't take that easy. That's something you have to like put to the cat's face. I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, you kneel down on the floor and you back him into you so he can't go anywhere, and then you just it's sort of like a
It's
soft.
so stressful for.
It's a little stressful. Like I mean, the first year that we had to do it, it was extremely stressful, and then it got easier and easier. But he stopped breathing at one point. We had to get him to the emergency vet, and it
Oh,
was a $2,000 bill once we were done. But yeah, his heart, everything just slowed down to a point where he had stopped breathing, and they had to put him in an oxygen room and get him to start breathing again. So I think he realizes that, when mommy or daddy stick this thing to his nose, we're trying to make sure he continues living.
Yeah.
Um, but
Oh.
but yeah, he's part Bengal, and the house we were living in British Columbia had black mold in it, and it affected Martin and I a little bit. Um, Martin, are you okay with me mentioning your MRI?
Yeah.
Okay. Martin had an MRI recently because he's been kind of zoning out. So he'll be watching TV and he'll glaze over and stuff like that. And um, we had him checked, and there's little spots. He's going to have to go for more testing to figure out what it is. But there's little spots on his brain, and we're not sure if
Oh
it's from breathing
no.
in all that mold or whether it's something genetic, or we need more tests to find out. But there's a
Mhm.
good possibility that because there was a lot of black mold in the walls at the house we were living in Burnaby, back in BC, the cat's asthma may not be the only thing that the black mold did. So yeah, people, if there's a lot of black mold in your place, I don't care how cheap the place is, don't live there.
Black mold kill you.
Yeah, and we were
Yeah.
breathing it in for 16 years, so yeah, yeah. We've been coming back to Ontario. We've been
Took
doing a
that
lot
long
of.
to find out that the black mold was there?
Well, we
Did
didn't
it take
really
like a while to
realize.
get rid of it, or?
Well, we didn't really realize until this staining started happening around the bathtub through the wall, and we weren't 100% sure it was because we grew up in Ontario, and as much as you can get black mold in Ontario, you get like this much. But British
Mhm.
Columbia is a rainforest, so you get a tiny bit of black mold, and it infects massively in a very short period of time. So what had happened is the stuff had been building up inside the wall by the bathtub, and we didn't
Wow.
notice until it started actually leaking through. We asked the landlord to do something about it. He kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And yeah, it's one of the many reasons we moved back to Ontario. It's a lot happened to us. People who were watching us on Periscope regularly were there for a lot of our lovely rants and experiences. And we tried to make a move a few times, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So
Oh my
even though
God.
it's a struggle being back in Ontario in the financial and credit score and all the other wonderful things that would make our life easier, we did wait too long. But we are back here now, so we're getting the medical attention, and we're getting the testing, and we're getting a lot of what British Columbia did not give us. So we're really happy to be back here. A little late. We kind of wish we'd come back earlier, but we made our choices, and we're going to make better ones in the future. You know,
Wow.
now that we're educated on it. So yeah, I beg. I don't care where you are, who you are. Don't, the money is not the problem. You can always find ways to make the money, or favors you can trade off, or routes you can go. Just take a deep breath and don't sit around and wait like we did. It's just, if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. Make a move to make something happen. Enough people, I don't think, do that anymore. And I don't think we're a lazy society. I think we're just all tired. And we don't want to do these things anymore.
Right.
But we have to. I mean, it's part of living,
Oh yeah. Right.
you know? But you're a jumping opportunity. Yeah, Martin put the kitty litter down the chute, which I'm happy for. But since we're starting to, I'm going to talk really quietly at the moment. I hope you guys can hear me. But since we're starting to look for another place to live because of the neighbors, I didn't want to move again, but got to solve it. Looking at places to live during COVID has definitely been interesting because there's a bunch of rules and regulations and legal stuff that landlords can't do right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite the adventure. We have to stay, 6 feet apart, depending on the size of the place. The landlord has to stay outside and let you go in alone, type thing. And It's so surreal. Like, we saw a place today in one of the downtown neighborhoods, not very big, but um, normally the place goes for 2,700 a month plus utilities, but right now it's going for 2,100 a month because of COVID. They people are moving out of the city, so at least that's being driven down. Yeah, that's kind of good, but still kind of surreal. So yeah, it's a weird world now, and not fun weird, unfortunately. But we'll do the best we can, right? And we'll work hard at it.
Right. Uh,
So I guess everyone's all psyched up for the inauguration tomorrow because it's going to go ahead no matter what.
gonna happen
The United States has a new president, and
in hours.
I still envision Trump being dragged out of the White House by his big toe type thing. Just
I mentioned that in context. There was a story I was sharing or whatever, just to blow off time or whatever, because like I wasn't seeing too many comments. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just find like on the fly to share with you guys. And I was talking about how it was a story from last October, so it's kind of old. But then that's when everybody was worried about, like, they were doing the TikToks where, they were, and SNL was getting in on it or whatever, where they were literally like dragging them down in the chair or whatever. I don't know if you saw that one, but I think SNL did a skit where, no, I think, no, it was a TikTok. Somebody did a TikTok where they were pretending that, Trump wasn't leaving and they were dragging his desk along with his chair down the hallway. Way out.
Scooter, to answer your question, yes, very much so. As a matter of fact, I have to control myself when people do things like go against the arrow in the Walmart or the dollar store. Martin and I have 3 different types of masks depending on our situation. We have these clear vinyl ones that have got little filters in them that we use when we're doing, when we're around people who are hard of hearing or have to be wearing headsets or stuff like that, because then they can see our lips. But the masks
Right,
get
we're
pretty
done.
fogged, pretty fogged up pretty quick. So we have our cloth masks, which have pockets in them, and when those are drying, like when we wash them and they're drying, we've got a full supply of paper masks. The nice thing about being prop makers is we're kind of used to wearing masks. We wear them when we work with certain resins. We wear them when we work with spray paints. We wear them a lot already. So for us, it's second nature. It doesn't bother us. It does bother a lot of other people, though. And that can
Really,
sound
Scooter?
sometimes.
30
And
minutes ago?
Scooter,
No.
oh, did he? Oh,
Huh.
wow. So I don't know if Ryan, are you wearing your mask around people?
Yes, yes, definitely. This is pretty much, unless I'm in my apartment or I'm in this room, because it's an enclosed space and I'm the only one in here. It's pretty much only a couple times that I'm not wearing a mask. I mean, I got a couple others. This is the one I wear my work issued one almost all the time, and when I'm out and about. But there we go.
Oh, nice.
So most of the time, I'm okay. Not fogging up now, but because the nature of my work, um, I go in and out because I work outside
Mm.
at a supermarket. So especially with this mask, a lot of times my eyeglasses will fog up or whatever. And my coworkers, sometimes the customer mentioned it too or whatever. That's more rare than you would think, though. But my eyeglasses they just fog up to the point where I'll joke about it. I'm like, I'm blind. So I'll be pushing carts into the way our lobby's set up. We have we're only using one side of our lobby to put the shopping carts in.
Right.
We have 4 rows, probably about maybe 30, 35 deep or so. And I'll do that completely blind, so to speak, where I put them in where I'm supposed to put them in. I haven't hit anybody yet. So, where am I based? I am in Ohio.
And I'm up in Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
I'm a northern cousin, folks. Well, Toronto. If you're a Torontonian, somehow we managed to get the nickname of Northern New York. It could have a lot to do with the age of the buildings and the style of the city. Very, very similar to New York in many ways. And apparently, Torontonians are the ones with the attitudes. I just shrug my shoulders and go, okay.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're usually referred to as the Northern New Yorkers.
You guys are actually pretty close to Ohio, aren't you? You guys are more, a little bit, what, northeast of us?
Well, Ohio is actually not that far. Last time we were down in Columbus was years ago. But how long did it take us, Martin, to drive down? It was like an 8-hour drive or a 10-hour
What,
drive?
eight or 10 hours, maybe?
Yeah. Well, it takes us about.
That was a kind of a different situation because we were carrying
You just go around Lake Erie just on a,
water tied down properly. We had to stop every
I would
day.
imagine.
Well, there's two different ways to go down.
8-hour drive, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah, Martin's right. Martin was pointing out that the one time we went down, we were hauling a trailer, and it wound up taking longer because the tarp kept tearing off and flapping and creating a weird sort of poltergeist effect in the rearview mirror. And at the time, we owned an old Ford Granada, so it was an interesting drive down that year. But we go down to Maryland all the time, and well, when the borders open back up, we will again. And that's uh, that's about 10-hour drive.
Baltimore.
Yeah, to Baltimore,
Yeah,
and
all right. Okay.
geez, we've been so many. We have what's usually referred to as snowbirds, and snowbirds will either fly down. Some of them will actually drive down, but they'll go down to Florida for the winter, and and then they come back, to Canada in the spring. And they're usually old retirees and stuff like that with a lot of money. And snowbirds, if they drive down, it's usually a day and a half. These people will just literally just sleep in the car, and I've done that. I've driven across the United States and across the northern edge of the United States, and it took me 6 days, and I just
Oh,
slept in my
wow.
car. Yeah, I just slept in my car. I didn't think twice about it. Buffalo shopping is very common for people in Ontario, and that's about a 2-hour drive. And when we lived in
Oh, wow.
Vancouver, yeah, Vancouver, Seattle was only 2.5 hours.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, you
Well,
just
that's
pop down.
nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah, we do things like we would get into pirate costumes, and the Seattle Seafair Pirates would do their landing every year. And we'd get into our pirate outfits and we'd drive down first thing in the morning. Like we'd leave Vancouver around 6 a.m. and we'd head down and we'd help set up and we'd play with the kids all day and be with the pirates all day and have a really good dinner at the end of the day and take park our cars at the closest parking lot after we tear down, right? Park our cars at the closest parking lot and just take a 15-minute power nap and then drive back towards the border, and
Oh, wow. No
that night
kidding.
we're back home after a whole day of gallivanting around as pirates in Seattle. Most Canadians live within 2 to 3 hours of the border. Very few of us live in the northern parts of this country, even though it's physically a huge landmass. Most of
Mhm.
us don't want to live up there. So that stereotype of, Canadians living in igloos, it's maybe, geez, like 15% of our whole population. Not even that.
Wow.
It's people who do seasonal work. They'll go up there for about 6 months and they'll get oil out of the ground, or, and then they'll come back down south and be with their families for the other 6 months type thing. Like very few of us actually live in the northern part of our country. None of us want to live up there. We just don't, you know.
Right now.
Um, you can do Toronto to Buffalo in 1 hour to 40 minutes during COVID when there's less traffic on the road. I've done it even less than that. I've gotten down to Niagara Falls in an hour, but that was like in the middle of the night with no traffic. Um, you're in Lawrence Park, cool. We're in Toronto right now.
That's,
We're
um, I didn't do any driving, so I'm not as guilty as charged as one would think. But my ex's sister was getting married, right? Her older sister by like only like 3 years or something. And she got married down in Cincinnati. So from where I'm at, that's like 4 hours for us. And
Marty.
the Columbus is like 2 for us. So the Columbus is like the halfway point from where I am. And her one of her aunts lives in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado, and she flies to Ohio for work 2 or 3 times a week. That was her thing. I don't know if she still does. I don't know. I don't even know exactly what she does. But some of her business was nature, like remote in nature to begin with. And the day that we were coming back home, I guess she had some kind of like conference call. And for some reason, she had to go back to my ex's parents' house to make the conference call. For some reason, she had to do it like on a home phone, not her cell phone, for whatever reason. Right? And she was, and get this, like, she didn't get in trouble for what I'm about to tell you, but if she did, I don't know how it would have worked out because she was using my ex's mom's car.
Okay.
She was allowed to borrow that car because she didn't have to rent a car, I guess. Her dad actually picked her up from the Columbus airport. I don't know why she didn't fly into Akron. I don't know, but her company paid for it, so I don't think she really had a choice. But she had the time to sit there and wedding and everything or whatever. And like I said, that's a 4-hour drive. Okay,
That's not bad.
we got back to Monroe Falls, Ohio, which is another border just outside of where I live, right? In an hour and a half. I kid you not. An hour and a half. We were pushing about 120, 125 the entire way. The entire way. I was riding shotgun. Melissa, my ex, was in the back, sleeping the whole ride. Never got pulled over.
Nice.
Obviously,
Well,
we made it in one piece and didn't, you know, it was the
Scooter,
only thing stupid that you could. Man, I sit there, I was joking around with her because I have a private pilot or a sport pilot certificate. You can fly 2-seaters, right? And the sport pilot certificate, when you're airborne, one of the FAA rules is I'm not allowed to fly faster than 120 knots.
right?
And that's actually at full power. Whatever airplane you're flying in, if you full throttle, you can't go faster than 120 knots. But it's more of a limitation, not necessarily on a pilot such as myself or anybody else, but it's a aircraft limitation. So you ain't gonna do it anyways. And I was joking around with her. I said, we got back faster. So if I would have rented an aircraft, we got back faster in this car, in Melissa's mom's car, than I would if I were to go in a straight line in a freaking airplane.
Nice.
And that's one of the beauties is the airplane that I trained in, which is it was a flight design CTLS, is what they call it. And it at 120 knots, you're actually flying faster than a 172.
Right.
You can push if you really haul on, but if you can, but it's very hard to push almost 120 in a 172.
Right.
Forget about a 150 or 152. No, that's not possible. But yeah, I have flown a 172 with an instructor a couple times, and yeah, you're lucky if you do like 112, 115 knots at best.
Right.
Usually, if you're pushing it.
Yeah, I've gotten in trouble for speeding every once in a while, which is like,
Wonder what kind of trouble we would all got. I don't know.
Well, Scooter's asking, we're in Toronto. Right now, we're down in an area referred to as Corktown. So the King and River area, and just south of us is the Distillery District, um, which is fine. But we probably won't be, we don't know where we're going to be living in the near future. This home is not meant to be for any extended period of time. It was a gotta stop moving everywhere, every few months. And we were friend hopping for the longest time because all of our stuff was in someone else's shop. And unfortunately, that shop went under. So we've now got some stuff shoved in a friend's garage, and we've had to downsize our business a little bit and get smaller equipment in order to at least keep building. So yeah, we're always on the lookout. We don't know if we'll stay here, and with COVID, rental prices are going down quite drastically. So we're keeping our eyes on the market. So we're not sure where we're going to be leaving soon. Hold on, Martin's pestering me. You want where I'm sitting, right? Okay, fine. I'm sitting on the little footstool thing that we keep our sheets in. He wants me to move so he can make the bed.
Oh,
He's hinting the most indirect way he can. Um, don't you know that's the job of your spouse is to never be clear? Oh, right, no communication. Right. Oh, right.
you know what really scares me being, even though I'm 37, but that's the one thing that scares me out of life. And I guess that's the wrong word because it doesn't really scare me, but it's something I'm unfamiliar with. Because like the ex that I was talking about just a moment ago, right? She was the only person I've ever dated in my entire life.
Right.
So that was our inside joke, and it's still like my own. I don't know if she jokes about it with her other half now. We've been away for like maybe like 8 years now, 8, 9 years, something. We were together about 12 or so. We were never married, but we're almost about 12, and high school sweethearts. But that's the one thing out of life is like I don't know how to date. The only person. It really was like this 12-year long date. Like as if you just immediately start living together, you have a life and cool. Or we
You
could have
don't.
gotten there, but things didn't work out.
Yeah,
Uh,
but you don't have to date. And I think, yeah, I think this is one of the hardest things for people to understand. We got to stop. There are certain types of people that need that. They need that expectation. They need that. And there are other types that are just like,
it's like,
we exist together, we're having a great time. What's the problem?
mhm.
I mean, Martin and I have our stresses, but I had no interest in dating. I mean, he was a pen pal. He lived in another city. I met him at a Doctor Who convention in 1987. And, he lived in Brantford, so it's not like he was local to me at the time. He had a car, but I didn't. Everything was transit and trains and stuff. So, he'd come into Toronto a lot, but I didn't really go out there much. It's just like, no, we were just friends. We were part of a group called the Not the BBC Props Department, and we started writing pen pal letters back and forth. And somewhere along the lines, the pen pal letters went from casual conversation and geek stuff to, I might actually be interested in you. And so we decided to spend even a little more time together. It was like, oh yeah, no, I am interested in you. Look at that. Yeah,
Wow.
people say, I can't find what I'm looking for, and I'm like, stop looking. Just stop looking. It's either going to happen or it's not. I don't. I like being, I like nice things being told to me, and I like being treated, and um, I like that kind of stuff. But I don't need it from people 24/7, and especially when we were at the most active part in our careers, which I'm hoping to get back to one day. Like we'd go to a convention, and people would treat us to dinner. Like they would bring us out to dinner. They would pay for our meals. They would, and it's nice, and it's just as nice for me to receive that than it is for me to receive Martin taking me out for a meal when we've got the extra money. Um,
Yeah.
to me, the only difference is I go home and sleep with him. I'm not going to go home and sleep with someone else. But in that time when I'm at that meal or I'm being treated that way or I'm being given a gift by a fan, I feel just as special as if Martin says, let's drop everything tonight and go get a nice salmon dinner and just starve for the next 2 weeks. And it's like, okay, sure. For me, it's not, the effort I want from people is just that respect and the communication. And it doesn't always have to come with treats and dates and, you know, a group of us can go out for a walk, and then Martin can say, listen, I want a 20-minute walk alone. It's they're
Mhm.
both special, but in their own way. I'm not very good at just like the one person, focused. I'm not. And Martin's had to share me with many an audience, and right now he's sitting on the. I am so okay. He's hamming it up now. I'm going to do this to him. 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 I'm going to do. There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Hi, Martin.
He says hi.
How you doing, bud?
He wants to know how you're doing.
Doing okay.
He says he's doing okay.
Starting to wind down for the night.
He's starting to fall asleep on me, he says.
Aw. Be night owl.
I'm the night owl, unfortunately.
2:20 is
So
still early for me. It really is. Some days, like the other day, like I was off yesterday, so the day before I was up until like almost like 7,
wow. Yeah.
but then I slept in
See,
until like 3 in the afternoon.
but Martin's right. Martin's right.
Oh,
We're
such a night
as
owl.
of tomorrow we go more in debt for a car. The decisions we've had to make to keep going is just overwhelming us. And he is right. We're seeing 3 more places tomorrow. And yeah, there's a lot of craziness right now. And we need a place that we don't have neighbors bashing on the wall for nothing. It's been fun. But yeah, he is right. I should at least try to sleep. He's nodding his head very slowly. He's like, so he's right, and it's funny because Newfoundlander just came on. Oh, honey, hi. But we gotta go. He's right. I gotta sleep with him this time because we both have to get up at the same time. Usually it doesn't matter, but this time it does. Damn. I could talk all night, darling. I can't. I shouldn't. Listen, you take care of yourself, okay?
Definitely. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it.
And Newfoundlander, we'll catch up soon. You know where to find me, honey.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
All right. See you later, everyone.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Well, that was fun. It's always nice to have guests on here. So, not sure how to pronounce her name, but I'll just refer to you as NFL for now, with all due respect. But I know you watch it on Twitter, so I can't really when I'm in have a guest on. Is kind of tricky to. Usually, I reply in the comments, but because you're watching on Twitter, for some reason I can't mention in the comments. I can't at you for some reason. Should be able to do that, but I'll figure it out. But I'm not ignoring you. How you guys doing? So we're talking about a whole bunch of things about what's happening tomorrow or later today, and all kinds of stuff. But it's 2:23 here in the Eastern time zone here in the US. So I think I'm gonna head on out of here as well. Thank you guys for coming on in. It's a fun broadcast as always. So not sure when the next time I'll go live. Try to do this more often, but you guys take care, and you guys have a good one. Okay, you guys have a good one. Bye bye now.